All right, everybody, we should be live. Let's make sure that's actually the case over on Rumble, of course. People are waiting. Actually, I just went live just now, assuming there's nothing wrong with the stream. Ooh, actually, there might be a problem there. No, I'm live. Yeah, I see the chat is working. We got some fun news to cover today, of course, and many other things. We've got Alaska pox. We'll be talking about that one. They're trying to mint a new disease. We have to be a little bit careful how we talk about that on a YouTube live stream because I don't know if I didn't read the full report. If the CDC or WHO has weighed in on anything, their word is bond. You have to agree with it, otherwise you get banned. Trump has endorsed his daughter-in-law for the RNC's leadership position over Ronna McDaniel. She's out going after South Carolina because the neocon candidate, Nikki Haley, clearly is not going to pass muster. We've got another new poll as of yesterday. It shows Trump at plus 30, corroborating, by the way, the other post-New Hampshire poll. So again, Trump's ad is quite apt. Stick a fork in it. It's done. We have to talk about core CPI. Inflation coming in a little bit hotter than expected, although it is simmering down. The problem is it's a year-over-year metric, and you're matching it up over the prior year where you had like 9% inflation or some crazy shit at this month. So it's still bad. It's just less bad. So, I mean, things are improving. Well, they're getting bad at a slower pace. It's basically all the improvement you can count on from Joe. We've got the Senate's bullshit bill that they passed overwhelmingly in a bipartisan manner, with McConnell and Mitt Romney and all these other morons signing on to the $90+ billion bill to fund Ukraine and Israel and Taiwan while leaving our border entirely unprotected. By the way, I talked about that this morning. If the House Republicans do not block this, they are goddamn insane. But they're Republicans, so you never know. We've got a Baltic Sea formation. In archaeology news today, Stone Age megastructure, found submerged in the Baltic Sea, wasn't formed by nature. It appears to be a throttling point for them to hunt, actually. You know, you chase the animals into an area where they can't readily escape. You know, they're between the devil and the deep blue sea, and you come in from both sides and you fucking slaughter them. And it appears that that's what they were constructing at the time. You know, archaic Homo sapiens, very intelligent compared to their animal contemporaries. And then we'll be talking about the age problem with Biden, which is being astroturfed. It's not really an age problem. It's more like hey, the DOJ, you know, your own employees say that you've got memory loss problem. We'll talk about the astroturfing in a little bit more. No worries about that. We're be clanking. I've got my caffeine right here. I'm freshly biltonged, actually. Link in the description to landofbiltong.com. You can get all sorts of cool meat from Anton, as well as Sticks merch, and also Pumpkin Fire crafts on eBay. More merch available there. Bookmarks, pendants, as I call them, amulets, of course, and much, much more. So we've got all sorts of cool shit. I've got an AR-15 coming, FFL to FFL, by the way. I'll be doing a big shout out when I requisition that. It's engraved with the Ouroboros logo, actually. So yes, I'm going to get my own pew-pew, be a proper member of the militia. People have ranted at me like they say, well, Sticks, you know, Glock is perfectly fine, and I like that revolver, but you need to get yourself a rifle. Well, I got one for free, so it's on its way now. Don't worry. There is a waiting period in Vermont, and I think that still applies if you're having it mailed in. So unfortunately, it'll be an extra week until I can actually obtain it, which is sad. Can't even get standard capacity magazines in Vermont. You have to go with the little 10 round ones. By the way, for what brand? I will be doing a one-off video shouting out the company. Trust me. So you'll know. You'll know. Don't worry. Yeah, free AR-15. There are fringe benefits to being a content creator with an audience of this size. John Ski, have you watched yesterday's Tucker Carlson interview in Dubai at the World Government Summit? Very worthwhile. I didn't know it even happened. Probably, therefore, it was a really good one. The legacy media just doesn't want to report on it. Sometimes it's funny. I get news from all over the world. People DM me on Twitter, and some people have my email. They email me all sorts of news tips. And it's really, really great. It makes my job easier. I get to read up on all the crazy shit that's going on in the world, all around the world. But then sometimes there will be something that's substantive, and nobody actually tips me off. And I don't know what happens because I'm too busy reading the other reports. It's crazy. Fantech 0104. I recently had biltong from Anton for the first time, and it was delicious. Thanks, Sticks and Anton. Yeah, it's delicious. I had some cabanasi, some of the sticks of pork. Basically, imagine if Slim Jims were good. Like care went into actually making them. It would taste a little bit like that. Sassmaster 531. First time poster, long time viewer. I live in Santos District, and the special election is today. If Dems pick up the seat, what is the likelihood of the Senate Ukraine bill being approved by the House? About the same, unchanged. All you need are like 3 defectors in the House in order to pass the bill. They'd be crazy to do it, but they're Republicans, so they are crazy. Basically, Nikki Haley probably should be their goddamn nominee if they're not going to gravitate more towards populism. Ramon C. GTC, did you see Vaush's Loli folder? Yes, I saw his hypocritical asshole folder. We're not going to talk anymore about him, though, because he's become culturally irrelevant, and I'm sure that really, really stings him. Eric, the bass guitarist on Rumble. Happy Mardi Gras, Stick. Show us your tits. No, I'm not showing off any tits today. Sorry, all you thirsty people. Sigilstone. Good morning, friends. My march towards anaphylaxis continues. I didn't used to be allergic to things, but other day a sting made me feel sick as hell. Will a hornet cause seizure? Can ragweed kill? Tune in next time. My condolences. I don't know exactly where you live, but I'm looking forward to spring because I'm massively expanding the garden, right? When I was in the Netherlands, though, there are almost no pine trees. I am allergic to pine pollen. And so every single spring, since I can remember when I'm here in Vermont where it's all pine trees, I feel sick. I get allergies on and off for a couple of weeks every single spring when the trees are fucking each other. Never had that problem in Europe. Dagnabbit 32. Happy 7th birthday to my daughter Olivia, one of many clankers in training. Happy birthday, Olivia. May you have many, many more fun birthdays in the future. Sigilstone. Same bat time, same bat channel. Yeah, maybe you need to get an EpiPen if you're having that kind of reactions. Good point to an Ajo Dave. Morgan, ragweed sucks. Yeah, I'm not allergic to ragweed. I'm very allergic to pine pollen. There are a million white pines within a mile of me. So yeah, when the trees are sperming each other, it becomes a little bit of a problem. I'm allergic to tree sperm. I find this topic to be hilarious. By the way, when you eat fruit, you are eating nothing more than an oversugared, bloated ovary that has been fucked. Just saying that apple is, yeah, there's a reason why fruit and sex are intertwined within poetry and within art. Anyway, we'll get to the news. Trump endorses daughter-in-law Lara Trump for RNC leadership. Former U.S. President Donald Trump has endorsed his daughter-in-law to head the Republican National Committee. Be a little bit nepotistic, but you could definitely do worse. You could keep Ronna McDaniels in the role. Mr. Trump voiced his support for Lara Trump and Michael Whatley, chair of North Carolina's Republican Party. So, I mean, there's a little bit of an a la carte. His backing on Monday follows reports that he has grown frustrated with the RNC's current leadership. The committee would vote for new leadership if its current head, Ronna McDaniel, steps down. She has already offered to leave her post, by the way, directly to Donald Trump, showing that they still have fealty towards him. They understand who effectively leads the party. I mean, it's not Kevin McCarthy, who's outgoing. It's not Mitch McConnell. And it's not Ronna McDaniels either. She keeps getting flack from her own party. Kilowatt, I was reading part of the bill and seeing they added a small detail that if a president didn't release funding, they would be impeached, setting Trump up. Well, it wouldn't remove him because impeachment, of course, requires conviction by the Senate. Impeachment is simply a House referendum. It is utterly meaningless. The Republicans are very bad at, by the way, implementing it in the first place, and they might have the House. So they've failed against Joe Biden. They failed with Mayorkas. They can't even impeach DHS head secretary for being completely delinquent on the border. So it's toothless. The bonus holes. Quick, change the playback speed to 1.25. It'll make Stick sound extra caffeinated. Clank. X at the bonus holes. I'm actually a little sniffy myself right now. As far as Lara Trump being RNC head, again, that would be fine. I think that it should be Lee Zeldin, who's got the experience, the chops, and it would piss off the libs, or Scott Pressler. Because Scott Pressler was, early and often for the better part of a year, every single day he messaged Ronna McDaniel on Twitter and was like, here, it's been 238 days since I asked to talk to the RNC, and they haven't responded to me. He's a gadfly. He's doing a great job. I say, Scott Pressler, can you imagine how many goddamn races you would win with Scott Pressler or Lee Zeldin as the head of the RNC? Oh, they'd knock it out of the park. You wouldn't have a fundraising problem anymore. People would actually donate fucking money because they would actually say, well, the leadership is competent for the first time in a long time. I wouldn't mind that. I think probably Lee Zeldin is head, and then he talks to Pressler and makes him like an official advisor or something like that, because he also goes out and he has to do his own thing with ballot harvesting and all the other stuff, knocking on doors. He does a good job of that. And then basically train him up. And then when Zeldin leaves, then Scott Pressler can head the RNC. That would be one fucking hell of a dream team. The Democrats would be gobsmacked, by the way. They wouldn't know how to react. Sigil Stone, overbloated fucked sugar ovary sounds like a great death metal band. Yeah, not bad. And I'll get an allergen battery done before the spring. I'm getting bad. Thank God I didn't have other issues like a brain lesion. Well, yeah, we know you have a poo-poo issue because you can't stop shitting on graves. So, Officially, Clankdom officially does not approve of pooping on people's graves unless they deserve it. So, Karl Marx, okay, have your bowel movement. Suck duck. I thought Turning Point raised more than RNC now. Probably does. Fuck. I think if I made a one-off video raising money for some candidate, I could probably do better than the RNC. You probably could too. Hey, here's my GoFundMe for candidate X. Yeah, you probably would pull in more in the RNC at this point. These people are morons. Stephen O, love your work, Sticks. Australian listening from Ho Chi Minh. Keep up the great analysis. Thank you very much. Ho Chi Minh City. So you're in Vietnam, I believe that is. It's pretty cool. I want to go to Vietnam someday because they put lemongrass in all their food, and I think it's delicious, and some people disagree with me, but they're wrong. So, next news story. Breaking from the Kobasi letter. Breaking. January CPI inflation rate falls to 3.1%, above expectations of 2.9%. Core CPI inflation unchanged at 3.9%, above expectations of 3.7%. They expected it to fall. It was predictable that it wasn't going to. We'll get into that numeric now. This is the 34th consecutive month with inflation above 3% and first jumps in September. Can the Fed really pivot right now? Well, the short answer is probably not. I don't think that they're going to be able to back off the interest hikes. Might not need to hike it further. They'll say, well, it's basically kind of stable. A lot of people are stupid and don't know how inflation is calculated, so maybe we can get away with it. Maybe we can do this and have our hard reset. Here's the problem. Inflation is not a monthly metric. People always confuse the two, monthly and yearly metric. Inflation is yearly. So the inflation rate is based on the prior year's inflation. February inflation, for example, that number when it comes out will be based on the adjustment of the inflation of the currency based on the prior February. So if you have last year, and you did, very high inflation, and then you come into the new year and you still have inflation at all, you are compounding the former number. So if I have 9% inflation in the prior year and 3% inflation in the current year, it sounds good, right? 3% is lower than 9%. Well, if it were a month-over-month metric, yeah, that would be pretty okay. The problem is it's a compounding of that 9% increase from the prior year. What you're seeing right now is what I exactly predicted, and many of you did too. We're seeing a leveling out where the inflation rate continues to rise, and it's commensurate with that former rise, which it again compounds. And people are still seeing sticker shock, and Biden rambles about shrinkflation. We talked about that the other day, and trying to blame companies for, come on, man, 32 ounces of cereal for $4.99, and now they've only got 28 ounces of cereal in the box. It's a scam. It's a grift. Well, yeah, the other possibility is that they raise the price, or they lay off some workers to increase their efficiency, so to speak. I don't think that Biden wants them to do that. Inflation is still high. 3%, 4% inflation is still high when you're going off the prior year's metric because it's still compounding. It's a cumulative sort of factor. A lot of people think it's a monthly thing. Okay, well, inflation was 3.2 last month, and this month it's 3.1, so inflation fell. No, it didn't, dude. It's compounding that same number year over year, and people just don't understand that. Also, a difference between inflation and core inflation. Core inflation takes into consideration certain goods and services and so forth, core goods and services, and looks at that. The reason why they started talking about core CPI, which a lot of people didn't even know existed as a term, was because the core CPI for a while there, the inflation was lower than the general inflation, actually. You'll notice that if you look at inflation news throughout the Biden administration, originally they ignored core inflation because it was soaring ahead sight unseen. Now that it's evened out, now that it's sloughed off a bit, they focus on that. But that's based on the inflated number from the prior year. The problem is that if the higher number, if you still had higher core inflation, it would mean hyperinflation at this point. Basically, inflation is still a major problem, but it looks like it's not as much of a problem because people don't understand the metrics that are being used. I see so many people say, oh, inflation is falling, Bidenomics is working. No, it's not, dude. Sorry, I wish it were. I don't want the economy to be bad because it impacts me. It impacts everyone around me. And I'm like, yeah, I made more money year over year, but I don't feel like I did. Oh, wait, that's because I can purchase less with that money. I don't want that to be the case. It is. It's true. And these people aren't reporting fairly on it. And then they'll say, well, the legacy media has it in for Joe Biden. No, they're circling the wagons by focusing on the fact that inflation fell a little bit. But again, that's month over month it fell. Year over year, it's still the same. Stephen O, love your work, Sticks. Oh, I already read that one. You're from Ho Chi Minh. Steady Eddie 1983. The Her report is one of the few times where the prosecution argues in favor of cognitive impairment for the defendant. Crazy stuff. Yeah, it's weird. Matthew Crockford. Hey, Sticks, do you still speak to Varg Vikernes? I haven't speak to him lately. He has a little bit of a problem with me sometimes, and I don't understand why. It's like, dude, I'm doing the permaculture thing as well. I don't know what your fucking problem is. Talented singer, he has some good ideas and everything else. He kind of lives a semi-survivalistic lifestyle. Beautiful family. His wife is interesting, by the way, and his kids seem on the up and up. I think they're homeschooled, which is probably why they're more intelligent than the average kids. But I think he has a problem with me. He seems to have a problem with people who are swarthy in appearance. Like, I've got brown eyes and brown hair, so I guess to him that makes me inferior or something like that. Yeah. Edward Ream, I want a presidential campaign running a platform of government shutdown. Prove to the everyman how unnecessary the current incarnation is. The problem is we need to make shutdowns real again first. We need to make them actually a government shutdown. Angry Bellsprout. Constitution defines treason as giving comfort and aid to our enemies. Why don't we properly deal with all the NGOs and elected officials doing exactly that regarding the ongoing invasion? Yeah, because the legal system won't let us, unfortunately. Ass Blaster 69. You the Master Blaster. Big shout out to King Cobra's homie getting down. OMG puppies. They say inflation changed more than they expected. I think that's the third derivative of price, and who knows what that means. It means lots of compounding. It means pain and then a little bit less pain, technically speaking, but when you actually dig into the numbers, it's about the same pain. It's the insane pain train at this point with Bidenomics. Music and fiction, Morning Sticks. Related to your video on Dollar Store Gavin Newsom's church incident, the song is Jesus He Knows Me by Genesis. Yes, it also ghosted a cover. Though one could argue early 90s Genesis was Phil Collin and Friends. Yeah, I like that song. Ghosted a great cover of that. Sent to me earlier. Sigil Stone, Zeldin would be better if a representative named Lank saved him from McConnelldorf. To follow up, inflation belongs strictly in furry porn, not in the economy. Ooh. Yeah, we're going to start talking about Kamala Harris' crotch if you keep that up. It'll make you bulimic. Of course, Varg's kids are well behaved. When their dad says, stop that or I'll kill you, they know he fucking means it. Oh, God. No, he seems like a competent dad. Suck Duck, America, where our economy depends on jangling keys. Helios Ending. Can I get a shout out? I'm writing my first book, The Rise and Fall of My Peepee. Despite the fact that that may or may not be a joke, yeah, you can get a shout out. I'll shout out anything for the right price, unless it's something that'll get me banned. Salty Keldian, at the risk of being too simplistic, is it correct to compare inflation to accelerating a speeding car? Little bit reductionist, but yeah, that would be a good shorthand for it. Yeah. I pressed the throttle down a little bit less than I pressed it down last minute. So magically, I'm slowing down now. That's how progressives see it. Mopey Hornet, want one world government and side with Antichrist? Play Helldivers 2. Zartu, third overlord of Blargo N7. The proper term for spicy ketchup is cocktail sauce. The proper term is fucking garbage, throw it out. Do not add curry to ketchup. Somebody earlier, they tried to convince me, they tried to put a sales pitch on me for jalapeno ketchup. I'm like, no. Ketchup is ketchup. It's supposed to be that way. It's not meant to be good for you. The Emperor's Champion. Slowly but surely getting ready to be more self-sufficient. Starting a garden soon already. Bought the seeds and going to build planters soon. Excellent. Get some good Quar perlite mix. Get some charcoal going for Terra Preta. Joker 80808. Your dream car. I want a Jeep. I want one of the old school kind of military looking Jeeps. The ones that have the shortened back, 4-wheel drive and shit. Yeah, I kind of like the way that they look. Next news story, the Senate trying to sell us out again. Senate passes controversial foreign aid bill, sending billions to Ukraine, Israel, and Taiwan. 22 Senate Republicans, including, of course, Romney and McConnell and the others. Murkowski, her vote was predetermined. Vote yes on $95 billion in national security supplemental early Tuesday. Yeah. How wonderful is that? Yeah, we'll pay almost $100 billion to foreign nations while we have 10 million problems in our own country without even considering the border at all. The Senate bill strips that part out entirely. Supposedly, this is to make it more passable. The House Republicans are nuts if they vote in favor of this. Like, it'll be political suicide. Trump may win, but the House Republicans will get crushed. I oppose the bill. I think I side with Rand Paul and a few others who have said this is a bad idea. Hey, giving $100 billion to foreign nations when we've got 500,000 homeless people in our country at this point, a record number, is not the greatest look. And the Republicans can win on this issue. All they have to do is block it and then craft a separate bill, which is just the border. Just the border, maybe financing for homeless veterans or something. Throw that in there as your pork barrel. Something that the American people actually would generally favor, because they don't favor this. Most people oppose it, which is why the dumb Republicans voted for it. Again, Mitt Romney, Murkowski, McConnell. Why am I not surprised? Cornyn. Why am I not surprised to find their names on the docket as voting yay? If the intelligent Republicans prevail, they can undercut this. Ignore this bill. Don't even talk about it. Craft a separate bill which funds the border and maybe some help for Americans who are hurting, and pass that through. And then dare the Senate Democrats and Mitt Romney and all the other retards in there to block it. Dare them. And if they do, well, then they're out on their ass. The American public will be 60-40 in your favor. But see, this would require that the Republicans have intelligence. This would require them to hold the line, stand their ground, be intelligent, and understand basic political strategy. Well, they're Republicans. This is why I'm not a Republican. I'm never going to join the party, never going to give $1 to the RNC. I'll donate to Trump. I'll donate to fucking Rand Paul. I'm not donating to the party because these people are morons. Total morons. You're being handed a win. The Democrats and their neocon allies just parsed out border control from what was a border control bill in order to prioritize foreign spending. You should be on TV and on podcasts right now castigating this, refusing to vote for it, saying how insane it is, and offering a counteroffer. Why aren't you doing this? Like Rand Paul alone cannot carry the entire Senate GOP to victory. He doesn't have the means. He's just one person. It doesn't matter. He gets together with Massey and a few of these other people that actually have strategic intelligence. These people, I wouldn't want to be a MAGA Republican in Congress right now. I would go back to my office after the next meeting, and I'd be so stressed out, the wrinkles would be forming on my face visibly. You'd be able to see them forming. I'd be drunk constantly. I'd have to use drugs or something like that to deal with the stress of having to deal with idiots like Mitch McConnell. Can you imagine how stressful that is? Double Rand Paul's salary just for having to deal with him as the Senate leader for the Republicans. You're nuts. And yes, Anvarex, I know Johnson tweeted the Senate bill is dead, but we shall see. Because they only have a 3-vote majority, and so you don't need that many people. Ken Buck and a couple of others could defect and actually get it passed through. They're Republicans. These are Republicans we're talking about. If they were Democrats, they'd pass a bad bill, but at the very least, they'd strategically be capable of passing it. With regards to the Republicans blocking a bill that's clearly no good, we'll see. I remain skeptical of Speaker Johnson and his capabilities because he seems like a cuck. Let's see. Matthew Crockford, what did you do with the Mercedes you bought? It's still there. Probably battery's dead by now, but yeah, it's still there. For Justice, contrary to your opinion, if it's an Obama Newsom ticket, as Roger Stone and others predict, how will Trump succeed? He needs a VP mate like Gabbard or RFK Jr. to win in this case. No, Gabbard would be good. RFK Jr. is off the table because of his independent run. No, I think that Trump would win against a Michelle Obama Newsom ticket, mainly because of Newsom, not because of Michelle Obama. But she's ruled out running. The James O'Keefe Sting report with Krager there, this was last week, proves what I said for years. Everyone is telling me Michelle Obama wants to be president. And I said, no, she's had enough. She got pissed off because she was around all these secretly racist, NIMBY white liberals, and it genuinely pissed her off. It genuinely upset her. And she's not running. She confirmed this effectively to people that are in the know. She's confirmed this on numerous occasions. She's come out publicly and confirmed this. Newsom, he has presidential ambitions. Michelle Obama, no. Iron Age Media, hail, Sticks, just wanted to shill Anvil magazine again. Issue number 3, shipping soon. Submissions open until the end of February. Clankers, welcome. I'll see if I can submit something for that. Otherwise, maybe the next issue. Mike Rendell, they're all fossils who bend to fossilized media. Yeah, a lot of them are. I mean, I think the average age of a senator is 66, if I remember correctly. And for the House, it's like 62 or something. It was like 50-something, years ago. And they were already complaining about the gerontocracy back then. Back then, they were younger back then. Suck duck. Maybe you confused incompetence for maliciousness. Can happen. So yeah, fuck the Senate. Fuck the Senate Republicans. There are like 2 of you that make sense. Rand Paul 28, by the way. What to know about Alaska pox after officials report first known fatal case. Health officials in Alaska, this isn't the CDC or the WHO, so I am allowed to criticize them at this time. I've got to read through the article carefully here. I'm just reading a CNN article, YouTube. Don't man me, bro. Health officials in Alaska have identified the first known death linked to a recently discovered virus called Alaska pox. Since its discovery in 2015, 7 Alaska pox infections have been reported, according to the State Department of Health. The most recent case was identified in an elderly man who died last month. That's the first death. This is the first case of severe Alaska pox infection resulting in hospitalization and death, the health department said in a release last week. The man had a weakened immune system because of cancer treatment, which probably contributed to the severity of his illness, officials noted. Talk about fucking obvious. No. Someone's immune system has been wiped out by chemotherapy. They might be more susceptible to a basic disease. Well, you can die. You're undergoing those treatments. You can die from the common cold. So, yeah. Experts say the illness is often mild and that infections remain rare in humans, as the virus is primarily found in a small mammal population throughout Alaska. 6 of the 7 cases have been mild and self-limited, so the patient didn't even need to get any supportive care from a care provider, said Dr. Joe McLaughlin, state epidemiologist and chief of the Alaska section of epidemiology at the Alaska Department of Health. Still, there is a lot that is not known about the virus, McLaughlin said, including how it spreads from animals to humans and how long it has been around. Spooky, isn't it? It's like it's almost like an election virus now, isn't it? I don't think that it's going to be one, but there's a reason they're reporting on it. 7 human cases of a mild virus that killed 1 cancer patient over the course of a better part of a decade is not necessarily the kind of virus that you typically would worry about becoming a pandemic or something like that. I'm much more interested in the fact that we have Hong Kong, I got to be careful with how I say this, laboratories that are owned by a certain communist country in the world operating in a clandestine manner and tinkering around with polio and stuff like that. Yeah, if that comes back, you might have a few problems. airborne rabies kills 99% of the people that get it or something like that. Nature, by the way, is still technically overdue to deliver us a pandemic. You got to realize that this last rigmarole we went through was man-made, and so it doesn't actually technically count at all. We are still overdue for that century pandemic at this time. It will happen within our lifetimes, by and large. Hundreds of millions of people will die. It's inevitable, and there's nothing we can do about it. We can do all of the experiments we want, build all the laboratories we want. We're never going to get past the existence of disease. We're never going to create the arguably dystopian future, like from the Time Machine. You may have remembered that. They had sanitized the world's surface, and everything was edible. No stingy plants, no disease, and you had the sort of a midget-like race of people that stemmed off from the rich, actually, at the time, that had sort of devolved into childlike creatures, almost like hobbits or something. And then the poor that had worked down in the mines and shit, they devolved into monsters. And so they came out at night and ate, the descendants of the rich people. Time Machine, great book, by the way. I don't know if there's a movie adaptation of that. I think there was. I think I watched it and I fucking hated it compared to the book. Generally speaking, movies are not as good. Harry Potter, a great example of that. The bonus holes. Idea for the border crisis in Ukraine. No more funding for Ukraine. Instead, we give illegal aliens two options when caught. Slave labor in the U.S. as per the 13th Amendment, or conscription in the Ukrainian army in exchange for Ukrainian citizenship. Yeah, you probably could do that. The international community might not like it, but I think you could. Fetterman's Ghost. Good on you for respecting Big Mike's pronouns. Now, Michelle Obama is female. We'll get that straight. Jason Lane. Wait, I thought it was racist to name a virus based on the region it originates from. Wu-Tang Clan. I can't say that last part. It's actually banned on YouTube. Hashtag Istaphobe. I'm an Instaphobe because I hate Meta. Ha ha. So yeah, we've got Alaska pox, a semi-new disease. And thankfully, it's like the cold. And if you're a cancer patient, maybe don't eat rodents if you go to Alaska. Well, then you probably don't get infected. They had a bubonic plague case, actually, the other day in Oregon. First case since 2015, actually, almost 10 years. And I was talking about that the other day. Again, you don't have to worry too much. Plague actually doesn't spread readily from person to person unless it gets advanced and it becomes pneumonic or septicemic. So thankfully, we keep getting lucky, but we should eradicate the fucking disease. It's only in a few small rodent reservoirs. We have the capability. They just won't let you use the chemicals and shit that are required to do so. Heritage Heirloom Seed Company. Hey, Sticks, your subscribers have requested we extend our free shipping, so we have for a limited time. Excellent. So go to Heritage Heirloom Seed Company and you can get good shit like this. I shouted this out. Again, Heritage Heirloom Seed Company. Good stuff. There's a lot of seeds in here. I'm not even going to be able to plant them all. I'm going to plant as many as possible, though, because I'm hungry. King of Biltong. Good morning from Anton's in Roanoke, Texas. Free shipping for your biltong using code STICKS on www.landofbiltong.com and www.antonsusa.com. Biltong is not taxed. Get some and show your middle finger to the government. Yeah, I had some of the cabanassi earlier, right before the show. Delicious. I recommend that and the bison. Those are my two favorite, I think. The Bloody Nerve. Many moons ago, you brought up azomite. How should we use it in our new raised bed? Growing various nightshades and potatoes. You just take a few handfuls and I just munch into the soil and water it in. And then the micronutrients trickle down through. Holy Mountain 420. Salutations. Sticks sent you a hilarious video of a dude making fun of the Chaz garden in the garden. Check your Twitter DMs. Much love from Tennessee. Clank. I will definitely check that out later. Sigilstone. Alaska pox. Confirmed cases of bubonic plague. A raging measles outbreak. I can't wait for the guy with the cart yelling, "Bring out your dead." I've always wanted to live in a Monty Python bit. By the way, there was actually Monty Python news earlier. One of the people he played Robin Hood, I think, in one of the episodes. It was talking he had to sell his home and how due to bad business management, like bad deal making with the franchise, despite the fact that Monty Python is in perpetual rerun, he had to sell his home. I feel fucking sorry for the goddamn guy. Poor fucker. And he's like 80 or something like that. So it's like not the time of life in which you want financial insecurity. Flytrap, the movie version of Time Machine was garbage Hollyweird, even the older version from the 70s. I didn't know there was a 70s version. Agamemnon Fireman. Hey, Sticks, I'm thinking about heading to Manchester, New Hampshire in September for a Comic-Con. Hoping you know the area. May I ask if you recommend any cool nearby spots to visit? Thanks. I'm not so familiar with Manchester. I would head over the Seacoast region, go to Hampton Beach, Northampton. That'd be a good time of year. It's still fairly warm, but the tourists are mainly gone. Go to Ray's Seafood. Get their seafood chowder and tell them Sticks sent ya. OMG Puppies. There are several Time Machine movies. The old one with Rod Taylor is well made, but they all omit the sci-fi idea of class devolving into different species. Yeah, I remember at the end, like when the world basically ends, it's basically just an endless expanse of flesh-eating crabs and seaweed and shit, and slowly freezes to death and stuff like that. Book was fantastic. The bit that I saw from the movie, I can't remember if I saw the whole thing because it was not memorable, probably. No, it wasn't nearly as good as the book. Phantom Lord DJH07. So the money we're giving to Ukraine and Israel is about $95 billion more than we spent on the USMC, according to Senator Rand Paul. Also need to escape from California. Yeah, you definitely should. Yeah, we give more money to foreign countries now than to our own soldiers, and we wonder why the military is dysfunctional. I'd rather give them a raise, especially the Marines, so they can stop eating crayons and eat real food. Old joke. By the way, maybe somebody can tell me, some former Marine or something, where did the crayon eaters reference come from? Because I brought that up to my dad. He was in Vietnam, and he's not familiar with it. So I don't know if it was a more modern thing or I don't know. Stone Age megastructure found submerged in the Baltic Sea wasn't formed by nature, scientists say. A megastructure, I love this. I love archaeology. I covered some this morning too, but I haven't uploaded my one-offs for the exclusives yet, so see that later on BitChute, Rumble, and Odyssey. A megastructure found in the Baltic Sea may represent one of the oldest known hunting structures used in the Stone Age and could change what's known about hunter-gatherers living around 11,000 years ago. A little bit old. Researchers and students from Kiel University in Germany first came across the surprising row of stones, kind of like the Bimini Wall, located about 69 feet underwater during a marine geophysical survey along the seafloor of the Bay of Mecklenburg, about 6 miles or 9.7 kilometers. Nobody cares because it's a mainly U.S. audience off the coast of Rarick, Germany. The discovery, made in the fall of 2021 while aboard the research vessel RV Alcur, revealed a wall made of 1,670 stones that stretched for more than half a mile. The stones, which connected several large boulders, were almost perfectly aligned, making it seem unlikely that nature had shaped the structure. Now, what they're thinking is a combination of land subsidence on coastal regions can be a thing, and sea level rise has slowly hidden what used to be this hunting structure. Although 69 feet seems like a lot, so I'm thinking more on the subsidence side than the sea ocean rise thing. And what they did, and it's pretty clever, you go to the coastal region and you create like a stone wall like that so an animal can't hop over it. And you chase the animals behind this stone structure. Now, they're not going to go out to sea because, they can swim, but they drown eventually. And then you have people come in on the other side and you trap them. And then you just slaughter them and eat them. Great idea, actually. I used to run herds of mammoths off cliffs using similar choke points as well. We found a bunch of these in Central Asia, actually. I have a feeling that some of the bizarre stone structures in Kazakhstan were hunting related, or possibly related to the farming animals, the pasture land or something, and you wall it off. I have a feeling some of it's hunting related, though. Animals too stupid to realize it's blundering into a trap. So you chase it in, you fire a couple arrows, and it, the elk or gazelle or whatever the fuck you're hunting goes into your trap area and then figures out that there's literally no way out. Well, good luck to you, moron. Your dinner tonight. I love this shit. I like being able to talk about archaeology a little bit more lately. Technically speaking, the second reference of the day. I find it fascinating. I'd love to see some of these sites. I really want to see Göbekli Tepe over in Turkey. That's definitely on my bucket list. They haven't even excavated the whole fucking thing. It's massive. Faster Glock, cheers, I'm becoming well regulated. I recommend an LPVO. Yes, I will be tricking out my AR when it comes, because coming more of it's standard, without the bells and whistles. That means I can modify it however I want. One thing I'm definitely getting is a suppressor because I don't want to go deaf and I don't want to bother the neighbors. It just sort of makes sense. I'm thinking about maybe having a subscriber challenge with regards to the optics and a few other potential additions to the gun. One thing, though, if I do that, I hope that people actually listen to what I say about the contest rules before they comment, because a lot of people's entries on the subscriber garden video that I made, I did a contest for that earlier this month. I had to throw them out because people didn't listen to the rules. They're listing 5 or 6 things at once. I'm like, you can list one thing. That's your submission. Some people are telling me to grow weed and stuff. I'm like, okay, I'm not growing anything illegal. I don't care if it's federally legal. I've got guns in the property. I don't want any problems. So please listen to the rules should I do that. Agamemnon Fireman. I was originally going to go to Portsmouth for another con in April, but the tickets all got sold out. Kevin Eastman of TMNT fame is still a big draw. I wonder if Porkfest tickets are still available. I'm thinking about going to that this summer in New Hampshire. I'm sure that I'd meet some fellow clankers if I go to Porkfest. Here's the ecstasy user. There's the nudist family. Here's the would-be politician without a pragmatic strategy. It'd be pretty fun. Granite State Man. How likely a NATO force is sent to Ukraine in 2024? 0% chance. Troop advisory only will happen. Sparky. Greetings, fearless leader. Greetings to you too. Harrison Bergeron. Hey, Sticks, have you ever heard the music of Steel Panther, 80s hair metal parody band? If you have not, you would get a kick out of it. I think I've heard of it, but I don't think I've heard the music, no. Flytrap. Sticks, you can thank Gen X for the Crayon Eaters meme, just as Army are Knuckle Draggers and USAF is Chair Force. Navy been twink since Village People. Oh, okay, so it's a Gen X reference. Yeah. I mean, all's fair in love and war. You got to eat, you got to eat. At least the crayons are non-toxic. What do fuck? I was in the Marines in the late 70s. Never heard of the crayon thing until now. Yeah, it's been explained. Apparently, that's more of a 90s reference or something. Amaru, I'd love for the Glory Holes to make an album mocking Rage Against the Machine. I'd buy songs parodying those hypocrites. Yeah, Rage in favor of the machine. Fuck you, do what they tell you. Sigilstone. Hunter-gatherer is 6 to 9 feet underwater. That's the giver-receiver tribe. They never reproduced due to only ever going down. The other possibility is maybe it's fishing related. Assuming it was already underwater, maybe it was to catch fish. You herd them in there and then you use a net or something like that. I don't know about the historicity of fishing, so I wouldn't know. And now the final news story. Please send no more super chats, by the way, because I'll go off a little bit early today. I might still do charcoaling. I don't know because I got all sorts of weird Japanese food and my uncle's coming over, so I'm going to force everyone to eat like weird shit and like sea lion meat and bear meat and stuff and locusts. So I'm going to be having a good night. There's also a nice prepared salad in there. Balsamic, really, really great. We made last night. Biden and his supporters should be honest about his age problem. Candor, rather than deflection, can overcome the president's biggest drawback. I just wanted to hit back out against this article. I don't think that being realistic about Joe Biden's age problem would help at all. If anything, it might backfire. The problem, though, is not about age, and that's the AstroTurf that I mentioned at the beginning of this stream. The AstroTurf as well, people are saying, well, Biden's too old to hold the office. I don't give a shit if he's 90. I give a shit about the fact that his own allies within the DOJ said he has a memory problem. Having someone who has to make executive decisions related to military matters especially, and having them have profound memory issues to the point where you can't prosecute them for a felony is not a good idea. And if the American people do vote Joe Biden back into office for a second term, they're even crazier than he is. At this point, you would have to be literally in fucking sane to vote for Joe Biden. I don't care about his views on issues. I don't care that you've got Orange Man bad on the brain. You're nuts if you vote for someone like that. At the very least, you're a Dem voter. Okay, you're going to vote for the Democratic Party. Well, then demand that he be off the ballot. Demand he be replaced. Shit, the liberal legacy media is already basically doing that and throwing him under the bus. But you may be stuck in a situation between a cock and a hard place where you've got to choose between sitting it out and or voting for Trump or RFK Jr., well, at least he hates guns as much as the other liberals do, or voting for someone who has been effectively legally declared to have cognitive issues. Legally declared by the DOJ itself. We can't refer charges against him. One of his inevitable defenses will be he can't even remember when his son died. Well, that's pretty damning now, isn't it? But I don't think that candor would help. If he comes out like Hillary Clinton gave him good advice, he should come out and make jokes about his age, like Ronald Reagan did when in his debate against Mondale. By the way, you want to see a real cool presidential debate, Reagan v. Mondale. I think it was their second debate, if I remember correctly, as 1984 re-election bid. And the age question was brought up. I talked about this the other day in one of my exclusives. And Hillary Clinton gave good advice to Biden, lean into the age thing. And Reagan said, well, I don't want to make an issue of my opponent's youth and inexperience. And then grinned. Mondale found it hilarious. And it was at that moment that Ronald Reagan, by the way, won re-election. Because he showed, the funny part is that his witticism showed he was still mentally with it enough to know what was going on and crack that kind of joke. A couple years later, he started developing actual dementia. He was slowed down in his re-election bid, but he wasn't demented at that point. Clearly, he was still with it. Joe Biden, though, he was slowing down as VP, and he was already not with it when he was running for office in 2020. He's got dementia. It's not just memory problems. It's not about age. It's about the dementia. And so candor is not going to help. The problem with Hillary Clinton's otherwise very good sage advice is that Biden doesn't have the mental wherewithal to actually make that plan work. If he could, if he was with it enough, that'd be great. You could practically get reelected on that shit. You could pull a literal Ronald Reagan. Well, Joe Biden is no Ronald Reagan. He's not the Gipper. He hasn't been well-spoken in general anyway since he's been a senator. He's the bumbler. He stammers his way through things, loses his track of mind, and now it's compounded by literal dementia. So he has angry old man moments and squint eye moments and where the fuck am I moments. Let me listen to this beer keg. The beer keg will tell me what to do. Literally. I wish that was hyperbolic. I don't think leaning into it is going to work so well. I think basically admitting, yeah, I'm an old man. I'm an old fart. I sat on my balls the other day. I don't think that would go over very well, especially with younger voters. Ramon C. GTC. Love the shirt sticks. Yeah, just turn in your weapons. The government will take care of you. I love it. Faxenadu John Sticks. There is the distinct possibility that Biden does something truly black swan worthy between now and the election, like shitting his pants on stage or forgetting who and where he is. Lol. He's done the latter in part already, but yeah, I mean, he could have a shit in the slacks moment, be an Andy Six moment. Clean up my log. I just made a big mess in these slacks. Scrape it off there, boy. Feed it to them hogs back behind the barn. Sigil Stone, you'd love Steel Panther. They have a song called Gang Bang at the Old Folks Home. Had to omit letters. Apparently Rumble doesn't like that word. Interesting. I didn't know that. Yeah, no, I've listened to grindcore and gore grind and cyber grind and stuff like that too. It's basically the splatter punk of the musical world. Splatter punk, by the way. I think it was Craig Skip and John Spector actually that coined the basic terminology. A couple of great books, The Scream and The Bridge. It was definitely an inspiration for Sickness and Hell. So if you like that crazy shit, you can get copies of their books. Yeah, that sounds like something down my alley. Sigil Stone, let's start a presidential campaign for William Shatner. He's in his 90s and is in better shape than Biden and Trump. I like reading things in William Shatner's voice. I don't give a fuck what your opinion is. You can shut the hell up, you dumb bitch. William Shatner's funny as fuck. Did Sticks talk about Biden eating fried chicken with the Black family? I did get, I don't know what that's about. I did get a video earlier, but I was about to go live, so I didn't have time to review it. But yeah. I should do a stream where I just read out and say everything in William Shatner's voice. Virtuous woman. Hey, Sticks, can you recommend any seafood restaurant in your neck of the woods? No, there is none. Yeah, good luck getting good seafood in Rutland. Plenty of good stuff. You can go to Roots. You can go to, I think Table 42 closed down, unfortunately. Table 24. The Co-op has good food, prepped food. I personally recommend Hand Carved by Ernie's and the Yellow Deli, but the latter is closed currently for, they're overhauling it inside or something like that. There's also the Kong Chow Fusion, but they only do carry out. There's no longer any dine in, which is sad because they had cool decor. They've been there since the 20s, by the way. The original family that owned it, we were friendly with them. My family was, because we went there so often. They give us free shit all the time. Went there with one of my exes once, and, ordered like pork fried rice stuff, and she's just like, just fucking take it. Cool people. Sparky, not mentioning the Hitler-Stalin pact wasn't a lie by omission. It wasn't germane to the point Putin was making. It wasn't a comprehensive history for Russia and Ukraine. Finish watching the interview. Oh, I didn't read it in William Shatner's voice. Khan. William Shatner's cover of Rocket Man is interesting. Yeah, Leonard Nimoy actually did a song about Bilbo Baggins as well. If you haven't heard that, look up Leonard Nimoy, Bilbo Baggins. Most 70s thing you're ever going to see in your fucking life. Keep in mind that Leonard Nimoy probably banged all of those elven chicks, by the way. Shatner has dual citizenship, just saying. Lol. Thank you, Sticks. I'm going to have William Shatner Day sometime. I don't do the best impression in the world. I'm better at Bernie Sanders, but yeah, it's competent enough. You get the idea. 70s drugs. Yeah, imagine how much Leonard Nimoy was up to the eyeballs. Jeez, he probably is taking angel dust or something. Sigil Stone 17. You'd also love Nanowar of Steel. They did a crossover song with the singer of Steel Panther called Uranus. It's played completely straight about the planet. Bulldozer 74. There's a newer band called Electric Callboy, who I've heard people compare to Steel Panther. It's metal ravecore, though. Okay, how good is my William Shatner impression? Just tell me honestly, be honest. I know my Bernie is good, but I'm not generally great at all impressions. OC Ripper, Hell's Angels, Orange County for support gear. Sparky, Sticks, you're a Gilligan's Island fan. Do you remember the dream sequence episode where Gilligan was dictator? Funny stuff. Sigil Stone, terrible. Yeah, I know, it's not the greatest William Shatner. I'll work on it, It is shit. That just makes it funnier, though. Okay, the intonation, I know that I'm nailing. It's just I can't really do William Shatner's voice. He actually does have a suave voice. It's just his intonation is a little bit off the wall. He tended to overact, which can be a virtue. And if you're doing comedy or anything like that, I remember there was one audio recording. It was him during an outtake. He was recording a commercial, I think it was. And he gets really goddamn mad. The person was doing the take, and William Shatner starts off. And then he's like, well, if you don't know what you're doing, it's basically like, fuck you. And man, you wouldn't want to get William Shatner mad. Virgil Shadow, 6 out of 10. I can deal with that. I'm getting between a 4 and a 9. My Bernie Sanders impression is goddamn on spot. Don't you fucking tell me otherwise. Unfortunately, Tim Pool, by the way, does an excellent Trump impression. Like, if he were to record that and tune it up just a little bit, you'd think it was fucking goddamn Donald Trump. I wish I could do a Trump impression. Do your Bernie with Shatner pauses. Oh, God. That would be a little bit much for me. Your Shatner is shit. Well, I can't do Leonard Nimoy because, I'd have to chain smoke 5 packs a day to get to that point. Leonard Nimoy is one cool motherfucker. By the way, I know him best as the host of In Search of and Ancient Mysteries and shit like that. Everyone remembers him as Spock. I remember him from In Search of. That was lit back in the day. There are reruns of that running forever. They're all available, by the way, online. Tim Pool does a great drunken Nancy Pelosi. Yeah, I know, that'd be difficult. Music and fiction. Kevin Pollack or Maurice LaMarche have the best Shatner impressions. All others fall, unfortunately. You get a 5. Okay, so it's okay. Tolerable. At least I can do Bernie, I'm not the greatest impressionist. I mean, I know I can do a lot of vocal effects and shit like that, but Bernie, I think it's because I was a Vermonter. I've heard him since I was a little kid. I could just sort of nail it because I'm used to imitating him, I guess. Sparky, I have a metal sign like your t-shirt. Makes a good point. Mission Impossible. Leonard Nimoy after Star Trek. Oh, In Search of was great. William Shatner went to a Shatner voice impression contest and came in 3rd, says Sigil Stone. That would actually be funny. That's the sort of shit that he would do, too. I didn't know he was in his 90s, though. He looks pretty good for being that elderly. Getting towards Mel Brooks levels of immortality. It'll be a sad day when he dies. I mean, even if he's only known as well, the best, captain on Star Trek. He did a good job. It was campy. It was unintentionally funny at times because he would overact. Like he would fucking launch across the stage and be punching people out and being like the manly captain thing. And so it was unintentionally funny. And it was a little bit like the old 60s Batman or something like that. Batman would punch, or Robin, punch someone in the head and it's like, bam, that was fun. I like older campy stuff. Like I like fucking boomer material way better than most of the stuff from today. I would much rather watch reruns of Gilligan's Island than pretty much any comedy series on TV today. Oh, that's right. And these days, not TV. It's a fucking on-demand or something. Anyway, I am going to go offline, although I'm having fun talking about William Shatner. And I'll work on my impression. It'll be difficult. I'll study some of his linguistics. I like linguistics. Please send no more super chats. Sparky, Putin is no fan of Stalin, by the way. I know that. Yeah, he criticized Stalin. Amaru, my cousin ate oatmeal with ketchup. Top that sticks. Yeah, fuck you. I'll make a ketchup channel, and I'll just put it on literally every food known to man. I'll put it on ice cream and stuff, and I will keep it down. I will not say no to that. Flytrap, Nimoy said on his show that the world would enter a deep freeze by Y2K. Yeah, that was the In Search of episode with the coming Ice Age. I've seen that a number of times. Horowitz, Feinberg, and Horowitz. Leonard Nimoy also voiced Galvatron on Transformers the movie. That put him over Shatner in my book DLs for a long time. And Sigil. Styx doesn't get Charlie Chaplin references. Shaking my damn head. I like Charlie Chaplin. But yes, I'm going to go offline now. I thank you to the nearly 4,000 people that tuned in live. I'll put ketchup on the sea lion meat maybe later. Maybe I'll make a video of that. I'll do it just for clout. And I'll work on my William Shatner. Don't worry, I promise. I'll be live tomorrow with more news. And also fairly big news is coming up on 5 or 6 different levels, actually. Since I've been back in the United States, crazy shit has happened in a good way. Like, deals and merch stuff and all sorts of cool things. And so, yeah, we'll be getting into that over the course of the coming weeks. I can't wait to show off my AR, but I won't be able to do that on live stream because YouTube would ban me, thinking that I'm going to blow my head off on a live stream or something. Apparently, that's why they instituted that stupid rule. They should get rid of the algorithmic throttling. Sparky, Leonard Nimoy brought up most shows that he appeared on, had a real can-do spirit. Oh, very talented. Extremely interesting man, too. Sort of like Christopher Lee. Sort of like a Renaissance man. So, yeah, I'm going to go and eat weird shit and have a good night, and I'll be back tomorrow. That's about all.